Rival characters in anime for me, I tend to be interested in almost instinctively if done right, because I like competitiveness in things I'm genuinely passionate about or interested in. So these rivals can range to me from boring to elite. I'm talking about GOATs. Ironically, you think the rival character is something that's in a lot of action-centric anime or manga, but really it's not a ton of them. If anything, the reason rival characters stand out so much to the viewing public is because there are a lot of them to really list off. I say the wave of duos who work alongside one another is a lot more common in multiple genres of anime, manga, and even fiction in general. Before I get to talking about these characters and just my feelings and opinions on them, let's look at what the definition of a rival is. A rival is a person or thing competing with another for the same objective or for superiority in the same field of activity. Sports being the number one example for this word, like Lakers versus Celtics, Tyson versus Holyfield, Ronaldo versus Messi, Austin versus Rock, LeBron versus a book. You get the picture by now. When it comes to anime, let's see just how good these rivals are and did they live up to the expectations that were placed upon them. First off, we gotta start with the Prince of Saiyans, Vegeta. Vegeta is the most popular rival by far in the entire anime and manga medium, obviously with his rivalry against Goku. He's the prince that was literally going up against the lowly Saiyan, even though we know Goku came from a very powerful Saiyan in Bardock. Vegeta has some really good character development throughout the entire series, although I'm not a big fan of Dragon Ball Super. I feel like Super is kind of a disrespect to Dragon Ball Z, but between him going from an arrogant, cocky prince, which he kind of still is, that really kind of just pisses off and a lot of people and really just hates anyone that's not entirely a Saiyan. He's not a fan of weak people. He just disrespects a lot of people in general. You know, Vegeta, in a way, for the simplest terms, he needed to be humbled. And with that, you got obviously the Majin Buu moment of him sacrificing himself. That's iconic. He had the moment in the Cell Saga where he kind of go against Cell a little bit. Although I feel like the Cell Saga is probably the worst Vegeta honestly looks. Yes, even the Saiyan Saga, I feel like the Cell Saga, if you're a Vegeta fan, not your strongest moment, but it has a lot of inspirational moments. I feel like some of my favorite parts regarding Vegeta is not even his fights, but really just his dialogue. The way he speaks compared to a lot of other people, he gets you ready to go. And just in general, he comes off as someone that's high and mighty, even though he might not be the strongest. Just his words and the way he carries himself, you have to take him seriously to a certain extent. Now, when we get into the actual point, which is him being a rival to Goku, and what exactly are they kind of motivating each other, what are they competing for? It's very simple. They're trying to see which one's the strongest. They've been doing this pretty much ever since they linked up with one another. And yeah, Vegeta has not been good. I've always been someone that thought, I feel like Vegeta is just a bucket of money that just got poured away, because do you realize how big and even bigger Dragon Ball would be if Vegeta had any of the important wins, or at least was a part of some of the big wins, like against Cell or even Frieza? Like when Frieza came back in Resurrection F, Goku literally just steals the win from Vegeta. Like, that was just so unnecessary. But if I'm just being real, Vegeta as a rival, if I had to put him on a letter grade, he's about a B+. He's not going to be an A tier. He takes way too many L's, and there's way too many times where Goku just makes Vegeta almost look pointless and useless that he's even there. Because for the majority of times, if you're going up against a big villain, Vegeta's main role is to just waste time, make the villain work hard until Goku or someone who's incredibly stronger than him gets to face off with him. Once again, this is no shade to anyone who is a big fan of Vegeta. I mean, we all love the Final Flash. We all love the Big Bang Attack. Most of his best wins are against pretty much fodder or mid-tier villains. He did get the big one against Toppo, but that got overshadowed pretty quickly. So, you know, Vegeta's okay. He's a B+, and that's about it, to be honest. If he got more wins, Vegeta would easily be A S tier. Next up, we pretty much got the counterpart, the modern day version of Vegeta, Bakugo. Now, I have like a My Hero video, and there's a section dedicated to Bakugo, so I'm not really going to go in super deep detail about his character. So we're just going to go right into the rival section. Basically, with him and Deku, halfway, this doesn't even feel like a rivalry. It feels entirely one-sided between Deku. I mean, Deku has all of the feats, all of the cool saving moments. He has the strongest ability, the highest potential. I mean, he has everything. I find it hard to really see what exactly Bakugo has over Deku, or is even competing for at this point, because even currently in the manga, which I read from time to time, I mean, there are characters that are even in there that I'm just like, wow, they have better moments than the supposed rival character. And yeah, I mean, Bakugo's entire character and point right now is basically just to motivate Deku, which Deku does not need any more motivating. And then, you know, his little side plot with himself is kind of, I mean, it is what it is. It's not bad at all. It's pretty good. It's just, you know what's going to happen when he's on screen at this point. He's either going to be apologizing or trying to be a redemption character, or having a big move that really much amounts to nothing. He has no fights, no real save. He does have moments where he's saving people. The only problem is, him saving people doesn't entirely get a ton of shine. Like the one where he saves Natsuo, but then it's overshadowed quickly by Todoroki and the dialogue with Endeavor. He saves, quote unquote, saves Deku in the first war arc, but then it's kind of overshadowed a bit by Deku going into his rage moment, which is what everyone was anticipating the most from the arc. So he just has really shit luck when it comes to what he is. And if I had to give him a letter grade, I'm giving him a C at best. I don't see the hype with him. I feel like a lot of people think he's something that he's not, which is a badass. But if I had to perfectly summarize Bakugo in one sentence, Bakugo is the guy in practice he looks like a superstar in practice. He looks like the guy that you just think is going to be an absolute monster when he gets on the court or the field. But by the time he's on the court and the field, he's no more than a role player or a bench warmer. Now, number 3 on this list, we're actually going to go with Yuno from Black Clover. I call him the perpendicular, the contrast to Bakugo in terms of what his problems are, because while Bakugo is a pretty good character from a character and a narrative standpoint, and he sucks when it comes to anything that regards action or being a hero, Yuno is the opposite. Yuno is a pretty damn good Magic Knight, but as a character, he's pretty dull. He's kind of, he's pretty bland. Let's just say that. Black Clover isn't finished. I mean, there's potential with more with him. I do like the story that they kind of have with him right now, but it's not exactly something that's a highlight per se right now. And mind you, I don't really keep up with Black Clover as much as I used to. But obviously with his rivalry with Asta, this is the most friendly rivalry on this list, because these two are motivating each other to get to the Wizard King. You know, it's that simple, and they don't really have any vengeful nature or hatred for one another. They rarely have jealousy, which their jealousy is pretty much of a, man, I wish I could do that. You know, you're so good at doing this, and you know, Asta, you're so physical, or you know, you're so skilled at learning these magic that I just will never be able to do because of the anti-magic. I actually really like it. I think their dynamic's pretty fun. The only real problem I have with Yuno was that we just didn't get enough time with him for like the longest. There was a huge stretch in like the middle of Black Clover where we never got to really see what Yuno and his squad were doing, and we didn't get it until after the big finale arc with the Word Demon. So, you know, it felt like, man, I want more from Yuno, because he's such a cool character. He's got like a cool demeanor, the wind powers are nice, and he's getting these cool level ups. You know, at least give me something to get invested in when it comes to his character. And they kind of did that, but it's kind of like, that could have been better. I think the Xenon stuff with him and Yuno is really entertaining, because Xenon's a cool character. He's got a cool backstory with a couple of his siblings, even though I'm not too big of a fan of Dante. I think Xenon is a highlight, and it's really cool that he's paired with Yuno, because that makes Yuno come off way more interesting than he was without someone really like a villain to kind of go after. And like I said, he's got some pretty cool fights. Honestly, some fights that can rival Asta at a point, even though I think Tabata just goes ridiculous with Asta fights. It's like he just steps it up. Yuno's fights feel more so like spectacles for the most part. So if I had to give Yuno a letter grade, I give him about, I give him a C2. He's a cool C. Like, I didn't really get as much as I thought I would get out of him, but at least I have some memorable moments with him. Now these next 3, oh, you better believe these are the good ones. These are the ones where if I'm thinking about a rival character, if they ain't meet these 3 in terms of quality, don't show them to me, because they're just gonna piss me off and they're gonna be pretty much giving me a waste of time. This one, Baro Shoei, the king from Blue Lock. Now, his dynamic and rivalry with Isagi is cool as shit. Let's just keep it a buck, because the thing I like about it is Isagi, when he first met Baru and we met Baru was kind of like, oh, this is going to be one of the top guys. This guy's going to be here for a while. He's really good. He pretty much soloed our entire team. And then you get this notion of this is going to be a goal line for Isagi. Isagi has to meet him in terms of just skill and everything when it comes to just being a striker. Skipping ahead, Baru feels defeat for the first time. And this is what I love. Baru feels and actually takes in what it's like to lose compared to how he was growing up. He never had a thought of feel like, oh, I'm a loser, or I'm beneath these people. This is the first time he felt that. And what I love is Baru's character doesn't diminish. He doesn't completely change. What he does is he simply evolves past it. It's almost like I took that on the chin. I see what I did wrong. I'm mature. But you better believe I'm not changing. I'm not about to be some passive dude. I'm still coming in to take your fucking head off. Just believe that. But I'm going to come back way better than what I was. I think the best way to describe this is Sasuke gets the best out of like everyone around him, but he's adapting. He's taking something from somebody. He's getting better. And even though Sasuke's he's a savage, nonetheless in the manga especially, he's kind of shitting on his teammates in a sense, but he's still trying to like work with them and win. Sasuke adapts to everyone, and eventually he just becomes the best player. But Baru is a guy where if I'm stepping on the field, I'm not adapting to shit. All of y'all are gonna adapt to me and how I play, and that's just how it's gonna be. And I'm not gonna switch or change anything. And that shit is badass. Like, come on, bro. Like, this is what I'm talking about of a good rival. Someone who contrasts the main character, or not even really the main character, because, you know, we have rivalries that aren't, you know, main character centric, or, I mean, Baru's not even the deuteragonist at any point. But this is what I'm talking about. Give us the lows of a rivalry, but give us the highs from both sides to where it feels like when these two meet up again, they feel like completely different people. And right now, Baru is kind of like the Demon King Baru, although I'm calling him the king worth 100 million because if you're caught up in the manga, yeah, he is that guy right now. Can't wait for the Ubers versus Germany match, the Bastard Munchen match. And we all know, if you read the Blue Lock manga, Baru alone is a part of like 3 or 4 top 10 moments in the series. In any game he's in, he will have a presence in it. And that's why giving him a letter grade, he's an S tier rival. Next up, we got the Tiger Naniwa from Hajime no Ippo, Sendo Takeshi. Now, I have a whole Ippo video, and of course, there's a section dedicated to Sendo, because Sendo's my top one. But Sendo Takeshi, this is what you want from a rivalry that's friendly but competitive. Now, we all know Ippo is a goat at sports manga and anime. If you haven't watched already, please do. It is a fun experience. It's pretty inspirational. Great character writing and amazing fights. You're going to love it. But this one, the reason why Sendo is that guy, he contrasts Ippo in a sense, but they have a ton of similarities. They're both infighters. Sendo, though, way more aggressive. He's pretty much the tiger of Ippo for a reason. He adapts to his opponents, and eventually over time, he's just going to beat the shit out of you with his smashes and just going in 100%, no freaking breaks, everything full throttle. And that's why I love him. And then one thing that's good about Sendo, even though Sendo's key matches with Ippo, he does lose, but the way Sendo goes out, it's almost as if Morikawa does the extra mile to make sure the reader understands that Sendo, even though he loses, he never really comes off as a loser. The first time they fought, Sendo was unconscious. He was fighting Ippo for a good majority of the round, not even knowing that he's fighting Ippo, and just off pure instinct. In that moment of him sitting in the stool during the timeout or during the seconds out, and he couldn't get up because he was just so out of it, but he was still staring at Ippo, is one of those moments that's like, damn, this kid was doing all of this unconscious, and still you can feel his intensity, and he's not even fully looking at it. And then the second time they come around, they're both better fighters. They both have more fights under their belt. And even though Sendo does lose, the way he went out, Ippo literally had to go into everything he's ever learned just to beat Sendo. And there was times where Ippo thought he couldn't even get up. Like, man, this guy's, he's punching so hard. It's like, damn, what am I going to do? Like, Sendo is me, but he's just tougher and he hits harder. What do I have to do? And then obviously he pulls out the Dempsey roll. He knocks him out eventually, and they get the big win. One of the top 2 matches in Ippo. And Sendo just surpasses expectations later on in the manga, beating Jose Nargo, a top 5 fighter. Then he beats out Alfred. Come on, man, bro. He beat Alfred, a top 2 guy who beat Ippo, a guy that probably, if Miyata was in the same division as them, Miyata probably wouldn't have won at all. So Sendo, in a way, he's kind of like the catalyst. He's the leader in terms of the way he carries himself for the quote-unquote Ippo generation. I kind of wish they came up with a better name for it, but in his generation, he's kind of like, if you're not at Sendo level in terms of accomplishments, you're gonna have to work a lot harder. And he's just raw as shit, a ton of charisma. He's got everything. If I was giving him a letter grade, S tier rival, check out the Ippo video to get a full in-depth kind of explanation for Sendo. And last on this list, how can I leave out the GOAT, Sasuke Uchiha? Whether you like it or not, this guy, he's the standard for a shonen rival, or even just a rival in general. Now, we all know the Naruto story and his relationship with Sasuke, their abilities, their come-ups with together. And even though a lot of people were like mad at Sasuke, obviously back in the day, I felt like when Sasuke separated himself from Naruto at any point, Sasuke's character shined so bright that everyone can probably admit at some point, Sasuke was looking way more cooler than Naruto and way more interesting throughout the story. I mean, he has his own arcs. We know about his battle with his brother Itachi. We know about the plot twist with Itachi regarding the Uchiha clan. His powers now, I mean, seeing the growth, his growth was really interesting because a lot of it was emotional and mental than it was compared to someone like Naruto, which was a lot more about focusing, physical, and just kind of just building up the chakra that he already had. Sasuke was just so unique back in the day when I was watching it. He was so cool. He was something different from Naruto and just everyone around him. Like, he was the prodigy that everyone expected to be good, but he had his own faults. He had his own problems that he was going through, and we as the watcher and the reader, we saw it and we were rooting for him to overcome them eventually. He's the most fleshed out character with Naruto in the entire series. As a ninja, he's top grade, obviously. I think the execution on the young Sasuke leaving the village and his entire character arc from then into the beginning of Shippuden is a controversial way of taking a character that was looked at as someone like for example, Killua. There was a moment where he could leave Gon and kind of focus on his family, but never in a sense of he had some sort of hatred or jealousy towards Gon. It was just something personal he felt like he had to do, but he never did that. Sasuke, what I liked about it so much, Naruto, he never fully hated him. What he hated was the fact that, one, he kept following him, and two, he viewed Naruto as strength, kind of like a progression. If he's not stronger than Naruto and he wants to kill his brother, I have to leave. I have to do this thing with Orochimaru. He knew Orochimaru was going to be a trap because Orochimaru was trying to take his body, but he knew if I draw this out, take in what I need to get from Orochimaru, and over time kill him and get rid of him, then I feel like I'm getting further than I did with Kakashi. Because if you really think about it, if Sasuke stayed with Team 7, I really don't see how he'd become stronger with them than he will be without them, because he needed that emotional trauma to really trigger the Mangekyo, because that's just how the Uchiha work. You just gotta go through some traumatic shit just to get the power up. And of course, iconic moments from his start to Shippuden. I think my favorite Sasuke moment outside of the things with Itachi, because that's my number one, probably the stuff with Danzo. I think the 5 Kage Summit, that is almost Sasuke's arc at this point. His entrance, the way he's just against every village. He just wants to change the ninja world after finding out the truth. Some great stuff from Kishimoto. And of course, I'm giving Sasuke on a letter grade scale an S. The GOAT for a reason, and it's gonna stay that way for a while. And that's everything I feel about those 6 rivals right there. I kind of wanted to keep it between characters that were popular and some that are like semi-popular, but I didn't want to choose anyone that kind of felt I didn't get a full grasp of the character, so I stuck to these 6. Leave a comment down below on like your thoughts on the characters. You agree with me or disagree with me, let me know. Probably not going to change my stance whatsoever, but those last 3 were indeed my favorite. And hopefully we get some more down the line. I feel like we kind of need those more rival characters, but just add a unique spin on them. I'll holler at y'all in the next one. Like and subscribe. Peace. Yo.